Welcome to the Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Turilli-Smith, and I'm so excited to have Gina Nicholson on the podcast today. She is a mother of four, a woman of faith, and an amazing fitness and health coach. You do not want to miss all her tips in this episode today. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. And I just actually want to say before we start, I am so grateful for the work that you do, Melissa. In a crazy world, we need more of this, especially we have a really great community. But I'm just grateful that you have done this and opened up a space for us to talk and people in the community to talk about how we can be more of a light in the world. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that so much. That means the world to me, and having you here is just such a blessing. So, speaking of blessings, I would like to start with your strong faith and how your faith guides you through motherhood and coaching.
I must say faith is a really, really big part of my life. People that know me well know that. It's been since I can ever remember. But I think my faith changed a lot when kids came in the picture. I can remember I got pregnant with my fourth child, and I said to my husband, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do all this. And with the work that I do in the fitness industry as well, I really looked at how am I going to do this? And what I ended up realizing through time is I actually can't. It doesn't always look good, and it's not going to look good. And what I realized is actually my creator God is what gets me through every single day, because I can't do it by myself. And so faith has guided me through motherhood and different seasons, different ways, I would say, depending on ages of kids, circumstances in life. So much is dependent on it. But it is a really, really big part of my life. And I really don't know how I would do motherhood or family or what I do in general without kind of creating a space for somebody higher than me, because I can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So it's really been it's a really big part of my life.
Yeah. You know, I love to hear you say that, because I have come into faith in my older age, and I wish that I had it when the kids were little, because being able to lean on it now when they're teenagers and they do say, you know, bigger kids, bigger problems, but it has given me a strange sense of peace in some of the chaos when I just look to him and ask for strength or guidance, or so I can see how he becomes a rock.
Yes. And I think it's pivotal in the family unit as well. I think it's really important for our kids. And I had always told my husband when we first were married that, you know, having a foundation is really important for me and our kids to have a foundation. And eventually they get to navigate that on their own, right? But when they have something to look back and rely on when things get hard, it is like I said at the beginning, it is hard for us to do this life on our own. It's hard to navigate. And when we know that there is something bigger that is actually really on our side, and my husband has also come into a much deeper faith as he's gotten older too.
Oh, I love that.
Which has been a prayer of mine for a long time. And my kids it's kind of all they've known. And now that I have a kid in college, you know, he gets to navigate that on his own too. And so it's really special to see. And I think it's really important that kids have a faith in their life, whatever that may be, but something that is bigger than themselves.
Yeah, I have watched my son Noah really lean on his faith and come into his faith and take charge of it. And it's been surprising to me. And my daughter is a little slower in taking it, you know, up in her life. But I hope she does someday. And I think as a mother, just continuing to set an example in that is all we really can do. And then I guess, pray that
And
they'll,
pray and
yeah,
pray. Lots
that
of
they
prayers.
will lean on that when they need something other than their parents,
Right.
because sometimes they do,
Yes. Yes.
you know.
And I think when we just had a difficult circumstance with my older son, and he has always had faith in his
Mhm.
life just because that's how we raised them.
Mhm.
But it's when the hard stuff comes
Mhm.
that you really start to notice, wow, my faith means something. And wow, now I actually am going to lean in a little bit more
Mhm.
because it does. It brings peace. It brings comfort.
Mhm.
And a long time ago, I had a pastor friend of mine tell me, in fact, Tyler Scott at
Mm.
CPC told me, there are so many people, and I myself, that go to therapy. Like there's lots of
Mhm.
people that
Big proponent of
throughout their
therapy.
life,
Huge.
like,
Yeah.
and and that is something that is very important. But he goes, honestly, the Bible is therapy.
Mhm.
It has everything you need to know basically when you have questions about life, and it is a guide. It's a
Mhm.
guide. And so it's very helpful to live your life on a foundation without it being kind of,
Mhm.
how do I deal with this situation? How do I do this? How do I parent? How do I discipline? How do I do love well? How do I do friendships? All the things, all the answers are right in a book,
Yeah.
and one book only. And we tend to forget, myself a lot, and I do too.
Mhm.
We forget that.
Yeah, I agree because, I grew up Catholic where the Bible isn't really the
So did I.
centerpiece
Yeah.
of, your religious or your faith. And when I started this Christian journey with my son, and my daughter, but mostly came into it with my son, I was really surprised actually every Sunday when I would sit in church how this book would just have all these
Mm-hmm.
really well thought out, made a
Mhm.
lot of sense to me in my moral compass,
Right.
in this book. And I was pleasantly surprised at, 40 years old.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and wish I had known it before that,
Right.
for sure.
Right. And then once you get into the word and you realize maybe this is what I need to be doing, with some obviously reservations of, is
Mhm.
this really what I'm supposed to be doing? You find that if you do kind of do what it says, you actually start to find this peace and this comfort of, you know, this is where I'm supposed to be going. And most of the time, all of the time, it's out of love.
Mhm.
And I always tell my kids, love wins.
Mhm.
And by the way, like, none of us are perfect. We're still
No.
constantly learning.
Mhm.
And our kids need to know that too. Our kids need to know that we are imperfect too.
Yes.
And we don't do everything right all the time, and we fall short, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And that's okay.
Yeah, and we live in a community of high
We
achievers.
do.
I hate to even say this, but beautiful people inside and out. I'll say inside and out. But I think sometimes the perception to our children is that everything happened easily for everyone.
Right.
And that is not the case. And people have a lot of struggles and need a lot of help. And
Yes. Yes.
including me and you. And so
Yeah.
I think being
Yeah.
able to communicate that to our kids and not pretending like everything is always okay is super important for them.
I agree. This community is so amazing in so
Yeah.
many different ways. But I do often look to our kids and how, they are portraying the world too.
Mhm.
And I think it can be at times a pressure cooker,
Mhm.
and it can be a lot on them.
Mhm.
And I think our kids need to know it's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay not to be that. It's okay not to be there. It's okay if you made a mistake.
Yep. Yep.
And we don't need to do all the things. And we all fall
Yeah.
into this kind of, we need to be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
I know I certainly have learned that the hard way many times when
Yes.
I've tried to be everything to everybody. And many of us multitask well, but we're not capable of it all the time.
Yeah,
Before
absolutely.
burnout.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And, speaking of this tight knit community we live in, we also go to a very tight knit community church at CPC.
Mhm.
What do you think the role of friendships in this community has played in your well being?
Mhm.
How does that play into you maybe realizing you can't be all things to all people, or how do you take care of yourself among all of that?
Right. So I would say I have been extremely blessed with groups of women in my life. And again, I do believe there are friendships for seasons, and we all learn from that. But I have always, since I had kids, had a community of women, like-minded women, that really did have to put myself out there for. There's a ministry at CBC called Mothers Together. It is probably by far the most pivotal group of women that I have had met during my times of motherhood when my kids were little, and I didn't know how I would get through every day with 4 little kids and all the things. But I had that group, and they provided not only, prayer, but they provided education, and they provided support, and they provided all the things. And then I also got to meet some of my best friends that we've been doing life together for, forever. And we will continue to do that together. And so I think the community and the friendships that you create are really important. It's very easy to get lost in motherhood and being a mom. And at times it can be lonely because, especially when their kids are little, they totally take over before you're like, wait, what else is there? Right. And even if you work part-time, full-time, and have all of that, you do fall into this, I found myself sometimes finding myself lonely, but knowing that sometimes it takes a little bit of reaching out, and creating a community within your world that knows that, you can reach out and they will be there for you, even on your deepest, darkest days. And when it's time to praise and be like, this was amazing. And community, I think, looks very different for moms, because depending on how many kids you have the community that your kids kind of, whether it's sports or what have you, school, church, you have their age groups of communities. And then you have the communities that you've inserted yourself into. Like for me, it's fitness, it's fitness. And in church, you have that community. So there are lots of different communities. But what I will say about community is that over time, and with kind of this quote unquote busy lifestyle we all lead, I've had to be very intentional about where I spend my time. Again, I keep bringing up this idea of overwhelm, because I'm a yes girl, and I tend to get myself involved in many different facets of this community, whether it be, the athletic booster board, whether it be volunteering at school, whether it be team mom, like and then you also have your work, and then you also have your friends, and you have, your family. And so then it just becomes this kind of, you're giving a little bit to a lot. And then it turns out to be, well, I want to give a lot to a little, and I want to do it well. And at one point I found myself not giving my best in each area of the community. So there are times where I've had to kind of step back and say, maybe that's not for me right now. And it's taken some time for me to do that. It's taken for me to be like, I don't think that's something I need to get too involved in right now. But I learned that through trial, where I was just overwhelmed and burnt out and couldn't do it all.
And I think it's great for women to hear you say that, because I was a young mom in this community, and you were a little bit ahead of me with your kids. And I remember meeting you within months of me moving here, and I had babies, and I'm like, wow, she does it all. And, so then you're like, and I really admire you a lot as a woman, as a lot of things. And so you're like, oh, if she can do it, then I can do it. And so I need to say yes, and I need to be doing all those things. And maybe it's nice to hear that woman who looks like she's doing all the things perfect
100%
is drowning a little bit in doing too many of the things.
I think, and that's where I do want to bring up authenticity and being real. It's really important to me and the relationships that I have, because I'm the first person to tell you. And those friends of mine that know me really well will know that I am a yes girl and I do too much. And sometimes the expense of, my loved ones.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've realized that. And, my mom was like that too.
Yeah,
She was
right.
just go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go, 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 go,
That's your
go.
example.
And, we multitask well, I would say. But again, like, I think it's the intentionality of where we are spending our time, what we're doing, and are we doing it well?
Right.
Right. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look perfect, but there are a lot of times where we do need to readjust where our time is.
Right.
And I think in this community, there's a lot of people that do a lot of things really well, and they do a lot. And that's just kind of where we live. And it's really an amazing place, with a lot of great people. But I do want to let listeners know that when it looks like it's all great and perfect, it's not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
It's really not.
Somewhere it's falling short.
That's right. That's right. Yes. And I think that's where you have to be authentic to yourself and what you're capable of, and maybe look inward versus looking outward. And you can admire people and, chat with them and love them. But I think we need to really look back and say what's good for us and what are we capable of doing?
Well, and make adjustments,
Yeah.
right? So because of what I do in the fitness world, I've taught for over 20 years, every modality there is, pretty much. And I've taught pretty much the entire time I've had kids, because it is a passion of mine. But there was one 6-month stint that I actually did nothing. I didn't do any teaching because I found myself drowning. And I can never see myself not teaching because I just love it. But what I found was my family was suffering. And so I had to take a good hard look at, like, I need to take a break.
Right.
And at the time it was, a big deal, and oh my gosh, and this and that. And I'll never forget, there's a client here who's actually now a therapist at CPC that told me after my last class before I took that break that, your identity isn't here, right? We place our identity in what we do. And, that gave me so much comfort because, it gave me the peace that, it's okay. It is okay to kind of stop what you're doing sometimes, take a break, get what you need to do, and then it's not forever.
And pivot.
It's not forever.
And I just love that she said that isn't who you are. It doesn't define you.
Correct.
And I think as women, we can reinvent ourselves. We can make changes. And I think sometimes we're afraid to do that. We're afraid to step away from things that we feel define us, because then who are we? Then
right.
What do we do?
And whatever it is that we do, with everything that we have. But we have to be careful, and same with our kids. Like, our kids need to understand that their identity is not in their performance. Their identity is not in their grades. Their identity is not in all these things that the world tells them. Yes. Right. And so, that really helped. And then, it's like you get back on and you start to do what you love again, and you watch it grow. And it was so worth it. Hard at the time, but worth it.
Yeah, of course. I want to pivot to your, fitness as a passion and your job and what you give to this community as a coach and a fitness leader. Let's talk about how you got into that and where you are right now.
So, I've been an athlete my whole life. And when I would go, when I was in high school and stuff, when I go do these workouts, I just felt this sense of, I just loved it. I felt complete. I felt, it just did something for my body and my mind that kind of really spearheaded. And then, as I got into college, I just fell in love with more of the feeling of working out. And fitness, and the body is fascinating to me. it's just fascinating the way that it works. And it's complicated, of course, but it's actually fascinating to me. And so as I got married, I was in, the corporate world, and then, decided to have kids. And for me, I, to be honest, I had a hard time thinking I would be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
I
get that.
some people, it's just what they love and what they do. And for me, I just felt like I needed something above and beyond my family. Love them to death, but I just knew. And so it was a passion of mine. And as we kind of moved around, but I started, I had a college friend that had a studio in Saratoga. And after my first kid, I kind of pivoted into learning more about her studio. Anyways, she'd hired me, and it just kind of took off from there. And since then, I've been through lots of different gyms. I've helped open boutiques all over the community. And, I've learned so much along the way. And, when you do something that you are passionate about, it doesn't feel like a job. Yeah. And that's what I continue to tell my kids, as much as, there's a little bit of
work involved
in that.
Not every day is sunshine
correct,
and roses,
correct,
but
correct.
yes.
And I always use the term in class, like, I'm making the big bucks in here, and it's like, I'm not, I don't do it for the money.
Yeah.
I do it because I have a real passion. In fact, I call it a ministry. It is a ministry of mine. And the way that it brings me joy, as much as I can give joy and encouragement to others that I am teaching, is beyond, is just something that I can't match anywhere else, And so, I've collaborated motherhood and fitness, and it's not always easy.
Yeah.
But I've learned that doing what you love and incorporating it into being able to facilitate also transforming someone else's life.
Yes.
And that's really what I tell all my instructors now, is that we are in the business of transforming lives.
I love that so much.
And whether we know it or not.
Yes.
And sometimes we will never know. A lot of times we do, because there will be a lot of times they will, voice that to us as instructors. But it's a beautiful business, and it really does change people's lives. And I think that's why I've just continued to stay in it.
Yes.
Is because if I know I can just touch somebody, and in fact, every single class that I've ever taught, I've always said a prayer before every single class. And my prayer is always, let me touch somebody's life today that maybe needs to be seen, heard, or understood. And sometimes I know it, sometimes I don't. I bring a little bit of a different twist into what I do, where I make it a little bit soulful, which sounds kind of, sometimes, a lot of people think they exercise is, pounding the pavement and really getting in there. And part of that is, and people that know me and take my classes know that I will have tough love, but at the same time, if I can get their mindset straight in the right direction, that's when you start to see changes.
Yes.
That's when you really start to see changes.
And I think as we get older, I hate to put an age on us and, in our clientele, but I do feel like when I was younger, it was like about going in there and just lifting or running or doing, like, as I've always been into fitness. But as I get older, it really becomes therapeutic to be there. Your body is changing, your life is changing. And that's like the hour of the week that you're not only becoming a healthier person, but you're trying to become a healthier version of yourself.
Correct.
And you're giving to yourself by being in that class.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people, why you're probably so popular and like loved for what you do, is because it is their moment, and you're just reminding them that
Mhm.
this is your time, and
Right.
this is
Right.
for you.
Right.
And it's important. It's really important.
And I try to explain to people that there really is, there is a chemical makeup in our body when we exercise that it is, you can't fake science in this way. Like it's, there's a chemical makeup that just kind of recreates and transforms our nervous system when there are things moving within the body, right? Hormones and things like serotonin's increased, and all sorts of things within the body that is created when you are exercising. And so, yeah, I think I like to take a full mind, body, soul approach in the class, because if you're going to a class, and a lot of people consider fitness let me check the box today, right? And that's when the inconsistency comes up, is because if you are just checking a box, it's going to be hard to get there every day. So I always ask my clients their why. Why are you here? And if they don't know, we work through that a little bit of like, why? Because what happens is, I believe fitness needs to be, and really wellness needs to be a lifestyle. It really needs to be a lifestyle. And if you are coming into something that you don't like, a lot of my clients say, well, it's so hard. Yes, it's hard, but we do hard things, and that's
Right.
how we grow.
Right.
And I always tell my classes, it's time to get a little uncomfortable. And when we get uncomfortable, that is how we grow.
Yeah.
That's how we change.
Yeah.
And, there are lots of, things that, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but, and there are things that I truly, truly believe in the space that you're at. And honestly, it doesn't really matter necessarily where you are, although I'm biased, but where you are. But getting that, for me, I have tended over the years to suffer from anxiety. And so exercise has been my healer. Besides, God, of course, but it is a nervous system reset.
Yeah.
And it's like nothing you could really mimic in any other way.
Yeah.
And so I think for many people, and not just women, it's like pivotal to our well-being.
Yeah. I really agree with you like 150%. And I also, why I talk about wellness and fitness on this podcast, along with giving back to your community and volunteering, is because I do truly believe those are the things in concert with each other that really heal. And there are, like, as you mentioned, the scientific proof that exercise and, working out and wellness releases all these chemicals in the brain. And it's the same with volunteering, giving back, being part of your community. It's the same chemicals that are released in the brain. And so I feel like if anyone is going to start anywhere, it's finding a class, maybe finding Gina, and finding a volunteer opportunity or somewhere where you can participate in your community. And start small, because it is uncomfortable. A lot of people are not comfortable doing those things, going to a fitness class, finding somewhere to volunteer. But I think it's just taking that first step and trying the class, listening to what you have to say, trying the volunteer opportunity, finding someone who knows where to volunteer or which community to group to get,
Correct.
connected with.
I have this saying with my kids is, and I like to tell them, just do it. And it's obviously the Nike thing, but we are, and I've seen clients come through the door so many times, hesitant and worried, and oh my gosh, I'm so out of shape, and I can't do this. And a lot of times I tell people, you just got to try it. Yeah. You just got to do it. And we've all started somewhere. We have all started somewhere. And you walk through those doors and you're not quite sure what you're going to get. And if exercise is not in your regimen, it doesn't, again, it can start small. And I could go on this forever, because I believe that everybody is different, and there's not one thing that fits everybody.
I agree with
There's
that.
really not. And depending on your goals, depending on your why, is I would guide you in different ways. But what I will say is I do believe everybody needs movement no matter what.
Yes.
I do believe everybody also, another really important component besides movement and strength is also recovery. And people tend to not look at the recovery piece as much anymore.
Yes.
And then you have nourishment, which is, I tell my kids a lot, is this nourishing your body? Are you feeding your body?
Yes.
Or
I'm constantly saying that to my kids.
Or are you bored?
Right.
Are you thirsty? Are you, it goes for us too. I mean,
No,
we have
for
to ask,
sure.
we have to ask ourselves
For
the same
sure.
questions and again, it's okay
Right.
if it's not.
Right.
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 But we're constantly learning. So, in the fitness space with people that are, I'd say, new or hesitant, or I get a lot of, I don't have time.
I
Right.
get that too with like volunteering or
Mhm.
like in the nonprofit world. Like, well, I don't have time to give back. I would disagree.
Right. Right.
So go
And
ahead,
what I
sorry.
would and what I would say is that we give time to the things that we want to give time
Yes.
to. Everybody has time for things they want to do. And it just sometimes takes a little bit of a shift again in mindset. And with I mean volunteering too, and I can fall prey at sometimes of like, I don't have time for that or what have you. But I think, switching over to kind of the volunteer aspect of things and the giving of yourself, it is proven. And I had a dear friend of mine when I was kind of in the heart of the 4 kids, and I found myself in a little bit of a depression, and she told me, the best thing that I do when I am in a funk or in a bad place is I serve people. Somehow try to find a way.
I like this girl. I don't know who she is, but I would really
She's
like
amazing.
her. Yeah.
She no longer lives here.
She'd be my
She's
best friend.
moved to Austin. But
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just,
yeah, I know. She's amazing. I actually just saw her. And she said, try to serve.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to look, I feel like it doesn't have to look big. It doesn't
No.
always have to look, especially if you're in a busy season of life with kids. It doesn't have to be some big organization, some big trip,
a
all
lot
the
of
things.
money. And it doesn't have to
doesn't-
be those things. And honestly, I'm sure you've seen this even in your fitness job and career, is that honestly, sometimes the small things make a bigger difference than the big things.
Right.
It's
Yes.
that day that you take an extra minute to talk to someone in your class where you might realize, oh, something's up with that person. I'm just going to spend an extra minute chatting with them. That could change the whole trajectory of their life, their day,
Right.
And so it's the same, like bringing food to someone in, hurting at church or whatever it is, like they're loved, they're seen, they're just, I don't know, served, so.
And I think I mentioned what I do truly, I believe it is a ministry, and I bring in a lot of different ways to kind of help people. And when I can, I do bring the Lord into my class, because I feel like, and not really directly, but there are times when it's a simple message, it's a simple movement. It's maybe in the yoga space where you actually get a chance to reflect. And then afterwards, it's a simple, how are you today?
Yes.
And next thing you know, people are opening up. And I have had some of the most amazing experiences in my classes of, and it's not me, it's other instructors, it's, but of people pouring out kind of some hard stuff they're going through. And all we get to do is we get to stand by them. And there have been times where I have prayed for them. And if that seems appropriate at the time. And I think when people start to notice that their well-being is not based upon their physical strength, and I talk about that a lot in class, is it's a lot of times it's a mindset, honestly. It's not necessarily like you're so much stronger in your biceps than somebody else. It really a lot of times is not. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is, depending on the movement. But if you can incorporate kind of both of those, and then where my service comes in that space and community is just being there for people that sometimes come in and don't feel like they have somebody, or they're coming to, what I like to say, let off some steam sometimes. And how do they do that?
Right.
And so the approach, and it's very easy for people just to walk out the door and they start to walk out the door, have a great day, this and that. But when you start to notice people, and you can notice sometimes their body language.
Yes.
And once there's
an
a
energy
trust,
shift.
there's a trust that is built up, the relationship in classes, that sometimes they feel like they can open up, sometimes they can't, but it's really beautiful when people can. And I've had some amazing experiences with that.
I love that. I think it's a testament to you as a human being, because I know you outside of obviously the fitness space, and you carry that open-heartedness wherever you are, and you do make it very easy to share. No, you do a really good job. And so I love that you bring that into the studio as well. If you had to give the audience, the listeners, just 3 tips, or 3 to 4 tips on how to start being well today, what would you say?
So this is actually a hard question, because people are so different, and they're different. Everybody has a different goal in mind. But what I would say is a couple of things. It doesn't take much, doesn't have to be complicated. It really doesn't. And I think people think of it as, I have to go try this new class, or I have to, there's this new fad diet, or there's all these new things that are constantly coming at us.
Right.
And fitness is not complicated. It does not need to be.
No.
And, for those of people that are starting, I always say there needs to be kind of 4 things that are involved. And the first is obviously movement. There's recovery. I believe in meditation, and I believe in the breath. So those are kind of some kind of broad ways of looking at, okay, what regimen can I start? And I believe if you can try something that has all of those, that's ideal. As far as physically, I believe that, you could have a good workout at 35 minutes. It doesn't always need to be an hour. Yeah, an hour is good. Right. Depends what's incorporated in it.
Right.
Right. I would say, I believe that strength training is pivotal.
Yes.
Especially with women that are aging. I can't stress it enough to women. It is so, I've done research after research on this. I find it fascinating, quite honestly. But again, walking is amazing at its own too. I think walking is great. You absolutely have to have some strength conditioning 2 to 3 times a week. Working 2 to 3 muscle groups if possible. Otherwise, doing what's called compound movements, which is working several muscles at the same time. And then following up again with recovery. I can't stress enough the recovery piece. And I think we all fall short of that a lot. The amount of kind of stress and tax we're putting on our bodies every single day. And we go in and we are focused on strength so much, or the cardio piece, or the flexibility piece, and all of that. The recovery piece, and I mean an active recovery, meaning everything from stretching, mobility, yoga to rolling, red light therapy.
Yes.
And also sleep, actually. Sleep, unfortunately,
huge.
Right now, there's a lot of women who have a really hard time sleeping, and it can start to build a little bit of oh my gosh, I'm not sleeping. But how can we incorporate these things in our everyday lives? And I don't really like to give a kind of a prescription, a general prescription, because it really is dependent on the person, the age, their time, all that kind of stuff. But I would say if you could incorporate some of that, including breath work. I've done a lot of research on breath work lately. It is by far one of the best healers of our body. And I don't think we do it enough. I don't think we understand how important it is. Breath work, and without getting into too much detail, it's just really taking time to breathe, but taking it out of the chest as we're walking around every day, finding that, we breathe normally every single day, but something triggers the body that when we take the breath down towards the belly button on a slow right, and then we bring it right back up, it starts to, again, the body is absolutely fabulous and so amazing that it starts to create this calm mechanism for our parasympathetic system, it's called. And the breath work allows us, especially in exercise movement, to create more oxygen in the body, which then, creates more blood flow. And then we also can start to build muscle, and it's this whole kind of process. But so yeah, I don't really like to give a prescription and if I don't have the person in front of me. But for the most part, I would say, some circuit training. And I used to give kind of prescriptions for travel and what you can do with traveling. And you can do you can do a simple circuit of, 10 push-ups, 10 lunges, 10 squats, 10 sit-ups. And, maybe, people that know me well know I love burpees.
Oh, yeah. Well, we cannot agree on that one.
Right.
Then. I mean, we agree on
Most
a lot during this episode,
no.
but I am not a fan of the burpee. I understand how good it is for you, but let me tell you, it might be the bane of my existence.
Most people it is. Most people it is. And that is where, that is where.
Not to contradict you, but that one is a hard one.
Everybody gives me the stink eye when I make them do these burpees. And for some reason, I absolutely love them, but it's very strange. And I'm not going to, but there are different ways to do a burpee. It doesn't have to be high impact. They're like, no, I know, right? Because this is what I get every time. I'm like, burpee time. They're like,
help
no.
it. Yeah.
So, and then again, that recovery piece. And I think it's individualized. And you also have to find something you like.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
But I also have a little bit of tough love with that too, because exercise isn't always comfortable.
No.
And I say find what you love to do, but you got to take yourself to the edge a little bit too in order for there to see some growth.
And I think that's with everything, right? I think if you take that mantra in your life with your job, your kids, your marriage, your faith, I really think it resonates across the board. So, and again, it's appropriate in fitness as well, so I love that. And I love all those tips too, because I think that's a great place for people to start. So as the episode comes to an end, which I don't want to stop talking to you, I want to talk to you all day. I always ask my guests these last 3 questions. So I'm going to ask you. Yeah. So first, Gina, what does it mean to you to be a community change maker?
So it's funny you say that, because as I've listened to, all the people on your podcast, because I do love what you do, and I love the people, and I do like to listen on who you're having on. And it's funny when you asked me that, because I would never consider myself a community change maker. But the more I think about it, I guess I do need to humble myself and say, there, as I always, tell my instructors, we are transforming lives, and we are creating community in a space where people may not otherwise have. And so I think, again, community can be a lot of things. And I think if you are entering a space, being real and authentic, and really finding people's, true hearts in what they're doing, and noticing people in the community, and what you can do to, I had a class the other day where it was, I termed it, be the light. Be the light.
Yes.
We need more of that.
Yes.
We need more of just being the light. And that can be seen as a lot of different ways.
Of course.
But there's a song that I played, and it was just be the light as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone can be that light for someone else. It does not take a Gina, who is a very special woman, to do it. It just takes a second to see the people around you and to notice that they may just need a smile, a hug, a friend, a how are you, And so thank you for being that person. So how has helping others impacted your own well-being?
Yes. I would say, again, I have found that it is extremely healing to know that, this is actually what we were called to do on this earth. We were called to serve other people.
Yes.
Serving ourselves, I always say we need to be the best versions of ourselves before we can go and be the best versions to people we love. And that's what, I talk to my kids about. That's what I talk in class a lot about when we're hitting those hard times of challenge and all of that. We need to be the best versions of ourselves so that we can also give to others around us.
I agree.
So yeah, I think just serving is by far one of the best ways to find, if you want to quote, happiness, whatever that means.
Yes, joy.
And
yes.
healthiness and joy. And I think happiness is defined in a lot of different ways. But again, I don't think it has to look complicated.
No.
It doesn't have to look complicated. If that is not where you are in your life. And there will be a time and a season in your life where you can do all the big things.
Right.
And it makes sense. And at one point, I wanted to go and do all these service things, and I wanted to do this philanthropy, that philanthropy. And I felt God just telling me, your service right now is in your family. It's right in your family. Yes. And at times that's where, not always, but there are times when it's like, there will be a time for you to serve in other capacities, but right now, this is where I need you.
And truly, I will say, it is the ultimate service to be there as a mother for your children and to take a step back from all the outside things and really serve your family. I would say that nuclear family for me is the most important thing before, all else. And, what a blessing that is that you were able to do that and recognize that. And then in a different season, go out and help others.
Yes.
So I think that's really beautiful. So lastly, can you suggest one small act of kindness our listeners can incorporate in their daily lives?
Yes, I would say this. Give people grace. Give people grace. In a world where we are, number one, busy, we hear that a lot. I have found that a simple smile to somebody may not be having a great day. Noticing somebody where their body language is showing something that isn't feeling right. Notice them, give them a smile. But also I tell my kids all the time, we don't know what's going on the other side. We don't know what's going on their side. So if somebody is not treating you right, if somebody seems to be mean and angry or, all the things that we all can be, depending on what is going on throughout our day, we don't know what's on the other side. So give them some grace. And it's not easy, right? No. I fall short of it a lot, but I think we need to start to understand that everybody has something going on in their life. And we can at times just remember that sometimes it's a smile to the person that cut you off instead of something else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes it's, the people that aren't being great and nice to us. It's, it's thinking maybe there's something else going on. So, for me, it's not necessarily like an act of duty, but it's more of taking a step back, realizing like how that's feeling for me and realizing that sometimes it's not all about me. Sometimes there is something else going on the other side that we don't know.
Right. Yeah. I used to be I love that you said grace, by the way, like that, just like I have goosebumps because I used to be a very reactive person to the people around me, a little bit East Coast spicy, a little bit like I'm softened a little now that I've been here a long time. But no, I think that something I have done in the last couple of years is before I react is to tell myself to be grace-filled and just be grace-filled. And it has really changed because I don't truly believe that most people react in the way that they do because they want to, like in a nasty way, like
Right.
in a
Right.
bad, like when someone reacts to you in a bad way, of course there's bad apples out there, but like in
Yes.
general,
Yeah.
something has to be going on.
Correct.
And before my initial tiger comes out, it's like,
We all have it.
that word can just calm the soul, I feel like.
Yes.
That word grace.
Yes. And I always like to say, like, you know, we don't know what's going on. And sometimes everybody is doing the best that they can
Yes.
with what they have right now.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that is so true.
Right.
That is so, so true.
Yeah.
So Gina, where can my listeners find you?
Well, all over town.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
She's everywhere,
and
guys.
beyond.
She's
and
everywhere.
beyond, depending on what
Yes.
Uber shift I'm on with
Yeah.
my kids. So I'm currently over in Spenga in Danville,
Okay.
and it's like my second home.
Mhm.
I'm over there, and I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
You can find me there as well. I'm kind of an open book, so they can reach out to me at any
great.
point. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for kind of wellness, and I used to do also like wellness coaching back in the day too. I've kind of run the gamut. But yeah, Spenga is my place.
Okay.
It's an amazing place with a lot to offer people in all sorts of ways. And
will you describe it real quick to the listeners what it is?
So Spenga
just in case they
Danville
don't know.
is it's an incredible format where you get 20 minutes of spin, 20 minutes of weightlifting, and 20 minutes of yoga, all in the same class. We also have single modality classes, so just a spin class, just weightlifting, just yoga. We have combinations of all of that as well. We also have what we would call a power revive or yoga sculpt class, essentially. So, we are kind of all over depending on what you're looking for. We kind of have it all. And we incorporate a lot of different modalities in it. It's a place I've never worked before. The people in the community are absolutely incredible. My management team, and it's just, we're like a family. It's super special. The people in there are special. It's very welcoming. And, we try to keep it as simple as possible. It doesn't need to be complicated.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And Gina is generously offering the Savvy Giving Gal podcast listeners a week free and a discounted rate on a red light therapy package at the Danville location of Spenga. So just mention the Savvy Giving Gal podcast when you call to redeem the offer.
Yes.
So Gina, thank you so much for being here today. This was an amazing conversation, and I'd love to have you back.
Oh, thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming to fill up my cup.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I hope it sparks a desire in you to dedicate even a small slice of your life to uplifting others. If you love this episode, please share it with a friend and hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Instagram at Savvy Giving Gal or visit my website, savvygivinggal.com. Remember, when we give together as a community, we not only change the lives around us, we strengthen our own health and well-being too.